So the population of India rose from 170 million to 450 million over the course of the Raj because of medicine, health, and accurate and proper nutritional standards and food storage compared to how it had been. You know what? I really wish Thunderous had been here tonight. Oh man, he's sick, and really, honestly, I didn't want to postpone this again. But Thunderous would have provided some really good commentary. There'd never been such a surge in population growth in the history of India. So clearly, this whole growth in India is helped along by British technology, right? Let me see if I missed any comments. Ishan says Indians cry about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre done by the British in Punjab, but they casually ignore the Jhansi and Kanpur massacres done on British women and children done by Indians. Thank you for that. Yeah, there's always going to be more to the situation, more to the story that people are just leaving out because the message, right? The narrative, the lie. So okay, I don't know what much about that. Have I missed anything? Have I missed any good comments? Indians, this is true, Zahar. India's caste system is religious self-enslavement. This, India, holy moly, for those who've been to India, oh my God, the misery. There is a level of despair and poverty like I've never seen. I've spent a few weeks in India. I've been there several times. I've traveled through a lot of the country. It's horrific. Oh my God. I'm from Africa, man. I've seen poverty, but good God, this was a whole different level. This was the next level in human despair. It just was shocking to me. So there's never been such a surge in population growth in the history of India, and one can say the exact same about South Africa. South Africa was developed because of the Brits, because of the Dutch, because of the Portuguese, because of the French. They brought the Germans too. They brought their technology, their ideas, and they improved things. They improved things immeasurably. I mean, the contribution roughly of the black tribes like the Zulu and the Xhosa to Southern Africa is on a scale from 1 to 10, it's about negative 5 million. Okay? Seriously, on a scale from 1 to 10, the contribution of these tribal primitive black tribes is less than zero. Now, women's rights in India. Let's not forget what Britain did for women's rights in India. It is thanks to the British Empire that we have had the progression of women in Africa and India through society. India's history is one of female oppression. And I mean female oppression. It was the British who abolished sati, the burning of widows on the funeral pyre of their husbands. Yes, this is what they did. Now, do you think that the Indians went along with this and said, well, you're right, let's just go along, let's just do this? No, it's like a lot of Indians didn't like the idea. They liked burning women. They wanted to burn women. The Brits were like, maybe we're going to fight you. And sometimes this is what happens. You bring in an idea, say, hey, you know what? I've got a better way to do farming, and you guys won't die in the tens of thousands every few years because of famine and starvation and drought. We've got ways of water management and new farming, and the blacks go, these white people want to take our land, let's kill them. What do? You defend yourself. And everyone goes like, these bloodthirsty whites just came and randomly wiped out people and completely lie about the situation. The more facts you know, the more you realize the standard narrative is usually just a lie, and it's always a way to reframe things. White's bad, black's good, blacks walk on water. And let me tell you something. Yeah, that's not true. Okay? It was the British that stopped the infanticide of young girls, and it was the British who allowed Hindu widows to remarry. I think there's something to be said. Say thank you. Say thank you to the Brits for these things, for changing Indian culture. Otherwise, you would have the most brutal, depraved Indian practices today. Universities were brought into Africa and India by the British. There was no system of democratic legislators within these regions. This was brought by the British. If you're British, you should be proud. As Steven Pinker wrote, pre-state societies before the British Empire arrived were, on average, far more violent than even the most brutal of modern states. These were downright dirty, violent, evil places to be. And nobody wants to talk about it because that would be racist. So the modern success of Britain's former colonies today in the 21st century is due in large part to their colonial inheritance. They inherited things like, electricity, schools, universities, education, medicine, farming practices. The English language and the common law enabled them to become global players. Their civic institutions, the police, the military, the civil service, the judiciary, parliament, universities, every region of the world you go to, British colonies are the ones most likely to be the most developed. the wealthiest and the most democratic. This is true. Black civil rights activist and socialist Bayard Rustin. Now, I don't really care about this, but I mean, this is just saying what Rafe said in his talk. He was a friend of Martin Luther King Jr. and a posthumous recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. And he once said, "If my great-grandfather picked cotton for 50 years, then he may deserve some money. But he's dead and gone, and nobody owes me anything." Actually, yes, I do care about this. So yes, this is right. Nobody owes him anything. And he's right. He was not responsible for that. He's not owed reparations, and you're not responsible for pain. You're not responsible for what happened to his father. But the world was a dirty, vicious, nasty place, and there's good and bad. And somehow people are telling you, only look at the bad. If you're white, hate yourself. Well, no, I say no. Don't. You need to get the facts. You need to say, look, sorry, you go hate yourself, go jump off the bridge if you like, but there's a lot of good. Okay, life is not that simple, but there's a lot of good, and I think we need to focus on the good as well as the bad. Life was complex, life was tough, life was brutal, but you know what? Things became less brutal over time. Society changed slowly over time, and we've got to accept the good with the bad. Let me see. Ishan says his ancestors were Brahmins and married within their caste. Christians didn't take part in caste discrimination. That's very nice to know. Even with that British bashing in India really surged with Hindu nationalists. Yeah. I mean, according to Hollywood, we all need to be like Gandhi, which would put an end to World War III and white privilege. He has his problems too, right? The guy was a little weird. Yeah, John Business says, "Had an Indian friend and his family practiced the caste system despite being Christian." Was shocking. Yeah, it's a little weird. I've got a really good Indian buddy. Yeah, from Pune, and I've been there, and it's not in Bombay, but yeah. Satyam Thakur says, "Hey Lord, I love you, but there's a lot of nuance, Lord. A lot of nuance can't even begin." Yeah, there is nuance.